G'day there guys, it's your Aussie Hubby Markee, back at it again with another r/EntitledParents video. Now with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good Karen stories. Our first post is by user Oh Potato Bless Me, titled, Entitled Mother Tries to Steal from an Ambulance, then Prevents it from Leaving. This is not my story, but my wife's. She's an EMT and doesn't have Reddit. She shares story on a group app with friends. Some are so good though, this one really got me itchy all over. She said I could share them if I don't reveal locations and names, and not to mention specific conditions of patients unless relevant. Our cast are Entitled Mother, Entitled Mother's Kid, Old Sick Lady, Old Man, Old Sick Lady's Husband, Nice Neighbor, Public Transportation Officer 1 and 2, Wife and Partner, the wife's co-worker. Call is received. We head out. A worrying call, it's not corona related. The old sick lady has other health issues. She is, however, very fragile. They called in a little late, hoping it would pass on its own, to limit exposure if possible. It did not pass. It got quite bad to the point of going to the hospital by themselves was no longer an option. We arrive at the house in question, no other options than to double park. Nice Neighbor waved us down. Note, as far as I know, he does shopping and gardening, etc. for the old sick lady and old man. Unsure. Nice guy anyway. Wife went inside, and partner gathered equipment needed. Old sick lady is a frequent caller. We knew what was needed. We are now both inside lady's house. Partner mentioned that there was a car waiting in front of the ambulance, and a lady inside was gesturing angrily. Barely 2 minutes pass. A horn starts blaring outside, constantly. Nice Neighbor can be heard yelling at someone through the noise, then silence. A car door slams. An unknown high-pitched voice, Entitled Mother, can be heard, but too far away to really understand. It's quiet for a bit, then the following can be heard at the doorstep. The door is cracked open. Get out of the way. No, ma'am, what are you doing? You need to move your car. You're blocking in the ambulance. Well, it should have just parked in a spot then. There is one right there. Now move and let me in. I have a child in the car. I've been waiting for 10 minutes. Nothing was free when we arrived, and we don't care. We park conveniently for us, not you. Meanwhile, we're still caring for old sick lady. Nice Neighbor's like, ma'am, you're not getting in. Do not touch me. She's now yelling, let me in. I need to talk to the ambulance people. More yelling of the same continues. She's not giving up, calling in a disturbance. What's her problem? Why does she want to come in my house? I don't know this woman. Why does she want inside my house? Do I call the police? My wife is sick, why is she yelling? Old man was getting very anxious about the whole situation. Since partner didn't need my help for the current part, and keeping calm was more important, I, wife, went to the door. I say, what's the problem? Well, excuse me, you're blocking the entire road, you should move your car. We're on call. Please back up and drive around the other side of the square. Tries to head back inside, but, I'm not the one blocking the road. I have my 6-year-old with me. He's frightened and just wants to go home. Kid, who looks to be over 10 years old at least, trying to sink through the ground standing next to the car. Then turn your car around and go home. We're not moving our ambulance for you. This person needs help and you need to leave before we call the police. Oh, wow. Okay. You don't have to be so frickin' rude about it. We're all in this crisis together, you know. In a calmer tone, she says, oh, by the way, are those masks for corona? Those look like they work well. My partner from inside says, wife? And I run inside. Calling after her, the entitled mother says, I'm not that good at backing up. Could you help me? Hello? Nice Neighbor later stated he helped her back out before heading back inside to check on his kids. Old sick lady wasn't doing too well. The call was made to take her in as soon as we could safely move her. Wife runs out and gets the stretcher. Entitled Mother was backed into an empty spot at this point. Meanwhile, a bus had been standing there parked off to the side for a few minutes. It could not detour like the cars did. The driver was just patiently messing about on his phone. Wife heads back inside, working on old sick lady. A few minutes later, we just got her on the stretcher, as we hear the following. Entitled Mother, what are you doing? Get out of that ambulance. I'm just grabbing something for my son. They said it was okay. Get out now. The kid's crying. "Mum, I don't even want a mask. Let's just go home, please." We walk outside and sure enough, entitled mother was standing in the ambulance, making a mess of everything, touching equipment, etc. without gloves, obviously searching for things. Info: the PTO, public transportation officers, were nearby and had come to check out the situation of the blocked bus route. PTO 2 to partner: "Sir, did you give permission to this woman to enter/take stuff from the ambulance?" "Hell no. She's been making a whole scene and has now contaminated our ambulance." Partner, meanwhile, had already called for a second ambulance as soon as we walked out and saw entitled mother. That luckily arrived as fast as lightning. They ended up having to take old sick lady in, and she left 4 to 5 minutes later than if they weren't delayed. But being stable, it seemed less risky to transfer her to the ambulance than to wait out entitled mother and use a dirty one. PTO 1 and 2 were still trying to get her to come out. They're not allowed to touch people, but they looked about ready to drag her out by the ears. If they waited that long to even get her outside, she's fine. Ma'am, that is not your call. You're blocking the EMTs from performing their jobs. They could at least hand out masks to people who don't have any. Waiting around for them to finish talking and leave puts us at risk too. Somebody didn't take her meds today. Her arguments only became more and more childish, that she had the right of way, that there was a parking restriction, etc. PTO 1 and 2 finally got the woman to come out of the ambulance right before the police arrived. They arrested entitled mother. She went ballistic and started crying and grasping at the kid. The poor kid was bawling his eyes out, scared and confused. Nice neighbor ended up calling kid's dad, who came to collect him within minutes. The dad barely said a word, but the kid was crying he didn't want to visit his mum anymore if she kept doing mean things. And dad looked ready to pop her head off her shoulders, but he kept his cool. I really felt for the poor boy. The case is clear with not only tons of witnesses, but also recorded on the ambulance camera, the PTO's body cameras, and the bus's dash camera. That's all, folks. Let me know what you think of this entitled mother. Edit: did this help formatting? Edit: thanks for the replies so far, guys. Posted by user Rajwa Burju, titled, "Entitled Mother Goes Nuts at Whole Foods." I love this sub. Read it often, never thought I'd be lucky enough to have an experience worthy of posting, but I guess tonight I was the chosen one. For some context, this just happened at Whole Foods in West Los Angeles. So yeah, lots of entitled crazy people in general, I suppose. Me is me, the chosen one. EM is crazy entitled mum, EK entitled kid, cashier, the poor cashier at the checkout, and the Whole Foods manager, or assistant manager, not 100% sure. These days, with what's going on, we're using grocery delivery services mostly, but we were out of a few items that my wife needed, so being good husband, off I go to nearby Whole Foods. It's not particularly busy at 7 PM on a Tuesday, so I figure I can get in and out relatively quickly and coronavirus free. I'm wearing my mask like you're supposed to do, and so are all of the employees and customers in the store, and doing social distancing, all that stuff like normal human beings. Anyhow, I have my own bag and it's just a few items, so I don't need a cart. I grab everything and head to check out. A bit of a line, as only 2 checkout lanes are open. Line is long enough with social distancing that it backs into one of the aisles. So I go behind the last person and stand slowly, moving up. After about 3 minutes, the line has slowly progressed forward so that I'm at the edge of the aisle, but still several feet from the start of the checkout stand. Entitled mother plus entitled kid show up and literally just move in front of me and cut the line. There were 2 people in front of me at this point and 3 to 4 behind me. If it had been entitled mother and entitled kid with just a handful of items, I probably would have just let it go, but they had a full cart. Probably 35 plus items in there, including lots of produce that takes longer to ring up. I politely say, "Excuse me," to her, in a nice voice, but loud enough that unless she is hard of hearing, she heard me. She ignores completely. I have my mask on, so I repeat with, "Excuse me, ma'am, but you cannot cut in the line. There are people behind you." Again in a calm and nice demeanor, but louder than before. People in front and behind clearly hear me. Finally, entitled mother spins around and in a tone of voice that is a mixture of disgust and just utter rudeness says, You weren't in line. You were in the aisle, still shopping. No, I was not still shopping. I was at the edge of the aisle because the checkout line was long and everyone is standing a few feet apart. And as you can see, there are people behind me, also waiting in line. No, I didn't see you in line, and I didn't see all those other people in line either. You must have all gotten in line after me. I.e., 5 people lined up within 60 seconds of her in a mostly empty store. Get real, crazy lady. She also raises her voice well beyond what is reasonably needed to try and make some kind of scene, I guess. This got the attention of the cashier, who's like, "Is everything okay? I'm moving along as fast as I can. I apologize, only 2 checkout lanes are open. We are short-staffed due to what is going on." Well, Entitled Mother unfortunately cut into line. Entitled Mother cuts me off and literally loses her mind. He's fudging lying. Besides, I'm here with my young entitled kid. He's tired and hungry, and we need to go first. It's just common decency to let women and children get priority. These are literally her words. Entitled Mother then begins a rant about how God knows what else. I lose track because at this point, Entitled Kid, who has been preoccupied on his phone, suddenly comes up to me and knocks my bag of my groceries out of my hands. I wasn't holding them very tightly and just wasn't expecting this, so I was totally caught off guard by this little twerp 10-year kid. I was fuming, but it's a 10-year-old entitled kid, so what am I going to do, Not much, other than to blurt out, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Entitled Kid is stunned, which is very satisfying to me. Entitled Mother, who had been ranting a soliloquy of all her woes to the cashier, turns back to me and now begins to verbally berate me on a level that I've truly never encountered before in person. I mean, I watch crazy Reddit videos on r/public freakouts, but now I get to witness one live in all of its glory. Thankfully, cashier sees all the insanity and immediately calls for a manager on the store intercom system. The people behind me in line are just stunned. One of them says, "People are just losing their minds," but otherwise none of them have really spoken up to now. As soon as WFM manager arrives, Entitled Mother tries talking over everyone, as follows. Entitled Mother to Whole Foods manager. "This bloody jerk guy thinks he's the chosen one, and gets to tell people how to live their lives." Entitled Mother then takes off her face mask and says, "Can you kick him out of the store? He's making me feel unsafe." Well, your removal of your face mask is making me feel unsafe, and is also against our temporary store policies due to the pandemic. Please put your mask back on immediately, or you need to leave the store. What are you talking about? Masks are not mandatory. Me to the Whole Foods manager says, I then generally explain everything that's occurred up to this point. Thankfully, the 2 customers right behind me finally speak up and confirm my story. Whole Foods manager then promptly kicks Entitled Mother and Entitled Kid out of the store, not letting them check out, and tells them to come back later when they have their masks on and are willing to follow social distancing rules and have courtesy towards others. Cashier then finally rings me up and I go on my merry way. Elapsed time, nearly 25 minutes, just inside the Whole Foods. Should have been 5 to 10 minutes in and out. I get home, wife angry it took me so long to get 6 items. I tell her the story, she likes story. Disappointed I didn't get it on video. Life. Yay! Congratulations, OP. Posted by user Zeno Bueno. Titled, "Teacher in my school tries to trick my mum into giving him my stuff for his child." Hi. First post here, and I have no idea how to start, so go easy on me. English is my first language, yet I'm hot ass at typing, so point out any mistakes please. And this takes place before quarantine. Background. I have this teacher who I'll just call T in my school. This teacher is new and abuses his power as a teacher. He constantly calls, emails, or even texts parents over students' behavior. Also, I'm 14, I'm just pointing that out, which is common in our school, but he takes it to the next level by making things up and lying. He once told my parents that I straight up punched a girl in my class once, even though we're close friends. Ever since that message, my parents instantly blocked his ass, so they don't receive any other bullcrap from him. I tried to complain about him before, but the head of grade told me that they can fire him, but it will mean that they will have no history teacher. This teacher lives relatively close to my building, and I live in the city, downtown to be exact. I often see him in the mall nearby, shopping for groceries with his 10-year-old daughter, which is not entitled in any way. She actually told me she hates how her father acts most of the time. I tend to avoid them by hiding my face with my hand, like I'm sneezing or coughing, or just put a hoodie on. He then tries to greet me sometimes, but I just say I'm in a hurry. Now teacher knows where I live, and vice versa, but not in a creepy way. Before he was this pile of crap, he was a great teacher. I don't know what the hell happened, but it happened. He used to visit, and my dad and teacher would talk about how I'm doing, and then just chill. Yeesh, what a large background. My bad. One day, I was playing on my PS4 when I heard my doorbell ring. Only me and my mom were home, so she got up before I reached the door. She opened up the door, and of course, teacher was there with his daughter. I was confused, so it went like this. Mum's like, "Hi, can I help you?" "Hi, yes. I've noticed that you aren't replying to any of my messages regarding your son. We blocked your email since you lied to me and my husband about how my son hit a girl. That wasn't a lie. I saw it." "Yeah, right. We asked the girl's parents and she said that she wasn't even in school that day." Teacher looks like he knew he was losing this, so he changes the topic. "Your son, with all honesty, is doing terribly in my class, and his behavior isn't great either." I was around the corner listening, but that set me off. I popped around the corner, and teacher was surprised to see me. He didn't say anything, but his eyes widened and he realized how he screwed up. "Keep going, mister." Teacher starts ranting about me and my class, while his daughter mouths sorry, and I just give her a nod. She tells her dad she needs to go and excuses herself. She told me later on text that she can't face the embarrassment, so she went home. "Mister, you realize that I'm getting the highest marks in the class, right?" I was boasting to give him a sign to frick off before I start a scene. The only reason I'm intimidating is because I'm overweight in a way where a fight with me will end in a human bone salad, as in, I'll jump on you. I obviously wouldn't lay a hand on him, but I was honestly going to frickin' Kratos his butt any second now. Mum says, "Listen, teacher, frankly, I don't give a crap about anything you say about my son, because it's all lies. Can you get to the point?" "Fine. As a punishment for your son's bad grades, I think you should give his console and controller because my daughter deserves it more than him." I look him dead in the eye, and I signal my mum to go back, so I deal with his tramp ass. I'm like, "Alright, mister, we aren't in school, so I won't get in trouble for making a fool out of you. You're a clown teacher. You're a sad, pathetic piece of donkey crap, and deserve to eat nothing but my ass for months straight. You lied to my parents, and to the girl who I was accused of hitting's parents. I've been her friend for 11 years, which is basically my entire fudging life. You think a message was going to end that relationship? Grow the hell up before I break your skull in with the 5-page assignment you gave us. Now screw right off with your bullcrap." Yep, I said that, and then I slammed the door in his face. He knocked on the door a few more times, and then left. I've never felt better before than finally getting this out of my chest. He reported me to the head of the grade, but he said because this wasn't on school premises, there is jack crap they can do. Wow, this was long. Okay, thanks for the hour of your time reading this. Boo! Posted by user, "Hey demons, it's me." Titled, "Entitled Grandmother makes racist comments towards my black friend because he was cast as Jesus in a play." Hello everyone, it's me again. After seeing how much you enjoyed my last story, I decided to post another. This one happened last December actually, and I thought it would be a good tale to tell. For backgrounds, I go to a private Christian high school. The school started off as an alternative school for kids who constantly got in trouble a lot in public school, but they changed it up long before I arrived. In our school, we have plenty of colored kids. Why I mention this will be important to the story later. So it's December. We have an annual Christmas program that we do every year, focusing on the birth of Christ and whatnot. About every year we do it, the kid who plays Jesus is normally white, but the teachers wanted to give everyone a chance and casted a dark-skinned kid as him. This is also important to remember. The person happens to be a couple grades below me, but we're still good friends either way. I've known him for years, and we've always got along well with each other. We'd talk at lunch with the other friends, hang out whenever we got free time. You know, that sort of thing. Well, I did not know at this time how racist my family was. They always played off their comments as jokes, but I know now that they were not joking around. I've always mentioned my dark-skinned friend to them, but never told them about his skin color or anything like that. They haven't met him, and always thought that we were only friends in school, which is somewhat true, since that's the only time we ever hang out. We get done with the Chris Mad program/play that my friend and I were in, and afterwards, we head on home in our car. This is the conversation that follows. Cast is OP, yours truly. C is my friend who my entitled grandma made racist comments towards, e.g. entitled grandma, G, grandfather. So OP, how do you think you did tonight? I shrugged in response. I don't know, I thought I did alright. It's not that big of a deal though. Nonsense, you did great. I've always been meaning to ask, who was that boy on stage with you playing Jesus? Oh, him? That's C, the guy I've been telling you about. Entitled grandmother goes silent. I didn't think much of her sudden silence until she spoke up again, more like a muttering than anything else. Why did they cast someone of darker skin color this year? Jesus wasn't black? My grandfather looks over at her, and I do as well. I honestly couldn't believe the words coming out of her mouth, but considering she was the same person who trashed my autographs because she didn't like how I spent my free time watching violent shows and movies, I shouldn't have really been shocked by this. I say, does it matter if he's black or white? Jesus was Middle Eastern anyway, so I think that's pretty close representation of him. No, it doesn't matter if he's black or white, OP, but if they wanted an accurate representation of Jesus, they should have gotten someone Middle Eastern to play him. I also don't understand why you're hanging around with someone like C. He doesn't seem like the charming type to me. I don't hang around him because if he's charming or not. I hang around with him because he's a good person, no matter what his skin color is. This is when my grandfather chimed in to make some comments of his own. OP, calm down. Entitled grandmother was only making a joke, and you need to get a better sense of humor. Yeah, OP, here you go again, making things more dramatic than they need to be. You need to learn how to take a joke for once. No, you need to learn how to not be racist towards people. Why should skin color matter who gets cast in a play or not? Because it's not a correct representation of Jesus. You know what? I'm tired of arguing with you for one night. Just drop it, OP. I don't care if your friend is black or white. OP, you need to learn how to stop taking everything so seriously and get a life. C would understand what entitled grandmother was trying to say because he looks like someone with a sense of humor. We got home, and entitled grandmother, grandfather and I didn't say another word to each other that night. I didn't feel like causing another argument, so I went to my room to cool down. To this day, I still talk to C despite my entitled grandmother's racist comments about him. I haven't told him about anything she has said though, because I don't want for him to get offended. Posted by user, Life Scares Me. Entitled Religious Karen and her bratty oldest daughter. These are a few snippets I remember from my childhood. This entitled parent is actually named Karen, and she's a tramp. But she's also a Christian tramp. Important later. She used to babysit me and my siblings. So I used to be friends with Karen's daughter when we were maybe 4 or 5 years old. We'll call her Alice. Alice was pretty cool. She was kinda shy and quiet, and we used to play Barbies together, along with this boy our age who lived in the area. Alice had a sister who we'll call Brooke. Now, I never had any issues with Alice. She was a good friend, but we eventually just grew apart. Her older sister, on the other hand, was a complete tramp. She would always bully me, and her mum wouldn't do anything about it. I remember 4 incidents with Brooke, and 1 with the mum specifically. I don't really remember the order in which these happened, because I was like 5 years old. Incident the first. Alice and I were playing Barbies. Brooke comes over and takes the doll I was playing with until I said my hair was brown and not dirty blonde. I know it sounds stupid, but I liked that my hair was blonde then, and it bugged me. My hair did eventually turn brown, but at that point it hadn't. Eventually, I said it was brown, and then muttered, "Not?" under my breath. I got the doll back. Karen saw all this and said nothing. When I told her about it, she said, "Well, your hair is brown," and that was it. Incident number 2. Alice, Brooke, and I were outside playing in Karen's backyard. We went to sit at the picnic table, and Brooke starts screaming at me that I was sitting in Alice's spot. Alice didn't care and had already sat across from me. Since she didn't care, I didn't move. So what does Brooke do? She screams right in my ear. It later transpired that she'd put a hole in my eardrum by doing so. No response by Karen. Incident number 3. I think by this point I must have told my parents about Brooke, and I think they'd told me to just leave their house. We were practically neighbours with only one house between ours and theirs, and return home when Brooke was being mean. Well, Brooke was being a tramp again, so I decided I wanted to leave, and she blocked the door and wouldn't let me go. Did Karen stop her? Of course not. A little side note. A while back, I found my old diary with Disney princesses on it from around this time, and there was a stick figure drawing of Brooke blocking me from leaving. Incident number 4. We unfortunately all went to the same school. One day at recess, Brooke tripped me, and when I told a teacher, Brooke blamed it on my flip-flops. Teacher did nothing, so I told my big sister, who was also older than Brooke, and she went off and told her off. I'm pretty sure if I'd asked her to, my sister probably would have fought her and won. Incident number 5. So this one involves the Karen more so than the daughters. As I mentioned previously, Karen used to babysit me and my siblings. Now during the summer, there was this church camp that she sent her kids to, so she sent us there too. Pretty sure it was a free camp. My sisters and I weren't raised believing in any religion. I was too young to really care or understand what church was. But my brother, the oldest of me, and my siblings didn't really like it. My parents, Alice's parents, and the parents of the 2 kids who lived in the house between mine and Alice's would all sit in lawn chairs in front of the front yards and chat during the summer while the kids played. I don't remember the specifics of the conversation, but basically my brother said something like, "I don't want to go to that stupid church thing again." And Karen flipped out. She turned around in her chair and shouted at him, "If you ever call it that stupid church thing again, I will stick my foot so far up your ass." I don't remember much other than that, but my parents basically told her off, and she never babysat us again. Oh, also, she once tried to tell me that I shouldn't watch Sailor Moon because it was against her religion. I can get not letting me watch it at her house when she was babysitting, but she tried to tell me I couldn't watch it at all. Right, that's all for today, guys. Those are some interesting stories today. Tell me if you thought they were real or not down in the comments. The last one was definitely real. I liked that recount. I've seen people like that before in my life, and I gotta say I don't like them. This has been Markee. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Also, apologies if there's background noise. I can't avoid it. There's so many people making noise around me. It sucks. See you later.